Welcome everyone to Celestial Tales, the show where I take the constellation cards from a board game called Before There Were Stars and use them as the basis or foundation or something to that effect to weave a improvised story for you all. And today we are going to be doing something a little different from past videos. For starters, I don't have my microphone out, so the audio will sound different from most past videos. I think there was one episode also where I forgot to turn on the microphone for half of it or something. But the point is, I don't have my microphone today because it would get in the way, and we are going to be needing some space. More space than we usually need. Usually we don't need much space at all, because today we are going to be trying to not only use these cards, but also using action figures or toys or whatever other things I can find to take on the roles of key characters and elements throughout the story. Still based on the cards though. So, for example, let us begin by figuring out if you saw a previous episode, I explained why I'm so bad at shuffling cards. Okay, so this story is going to follow the exploits, the grand or perhaps misadventures of three characters. I decided just now, I think I originally was gonna have it before, but then I'm like, screw it, let's just go with three. So three characters that will be dictated not only by the cards that we draw, but also by whatever supplies I have available to represent those cards as best I can. Some representations will be a bit of a stretch, pretty much for sure, but we're just gonna see what we can do. Okay, so let's see what we've got. Our constellation cards are the Mountain, the Ghost, and the Eagle. Duh. Okay, I have an idea or two. I'll be right back, maybe. Well, let's see what we've got in here. I brought out the bin from a past video. Let's see if there's anything in here real quick that we can use. We've got our Mountain right here because he is big and like a mountain. Optimus Prime is stalwart and unwavering, like a mountain. Even though this is not, even though he doesn't have a head. And then, let's see, we need an eagle and a ghost. Go away, Optimus Prime. I found a better mountain, sort of. Mountain. It's more just a big rock, but we're going to say it's a mountain. Ignore the Umbreon that is next to it. It's dusty. Yeah, that's definitely dust. It's dusty and it's not relevant. It is the mountain's sidekick. Umbreon serves the mighty mountain, giving it voice. The mountain is a spirit, you see, a mountain spirit, and it communicates through the Umbreon. And then eagle, bird. It's not an eagle, it's more like an ostrich, but bird. It is bird. We have eagle and ghost. We've got Dark Samus, the Phantom of Samus, sort of. Okay, here are our heroes, or adventurers, or whatever. So, once upon a time, Dark Samus, frustrated from her failures, somehow survived the destruction of planet Phase. And so, just an iota of her strength left, fled to space, and wound up on another planet. Weak and weary, she went hunting, and she saw a giant bird. She's like, that will suffice. I will kill this bird to eat it and regain my strength. She attacked, but the chocobo, being a black mage, was like, fireball! And Dark Samus couldn't fight back because she was so weak. She was like, ugh. And that's when and then she fought back. They were like, pew pew pew, shooting their lasers and their lightning bolts. Pew pew pew. And then suddenly they heard a voice. Stop this needless violence. They looked over and saw a cliff. This peculiar critter peeking out. Dark Samus was like, I could also eat this thing, but how was it able to speak? She was confused. She wanted answers for some reason. And the mountain said, this violence is wrong or something. It sounded wiser than this, but it's like, what the fuck am I talking about? So the mountain insisted that they should use their energy for something more productive. Umbreon explained that this mountain speaks to him, and that there's a great evil coming, and to defeat the evil, they need 3 special artifacts. But the only way to use the artifacts is to have them be collected by 3 heroes. For a long time, the mountain has been waiting for 3 heroes to come. The Umbreon came, but that was only 1 hero. It sensed goodness in its heart. And it also sensed goodness in the Chocobo's heart. It was about to speak when suddenly Dark Samus showed up and started killing, attempting to kill stuff. Alas, there was no good in Dark Samus's heart. It was an entity of pure evil, or instinct, or something. All he cared about is consumption and destroying worlds by covering them in Phazon and spreading that taint throughout the universe. Alas, there was no blah, 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 blah. Alas, there was no time. It seemed like destiny, the mountain decided. Besides, perhaps with an evil force in their group, it might come in handy, for sometimes good guys did stupid things through mercy or other reasons of goodness. So the mountain was like, your darkness may balance the light. So please, come with us, and you shall be handsomely rewarded for your efforts. And Dark Samus was like, okay. Chocobo was also like, queh. And then the Umbreon had already agreed at an earlier time. So together, they set forth this ragtag group of heroes, the mountain somehow traveling alongside with them. The Chocobo and Dark Samus joining the quest. Along the way, the wind began to blow. It did not affect the mountain. Umbreon hid behind the mountain, blocking the wind. The Chocobo had some trouble. It was like flapping, fighting the wind. Dark Samus, weak in her weakest state, was like, blah. And then they were like, oh no, we must rescue her. The Chocobo, using the wind, grabbed the mountain, spread its wings, and I was like, Pachoo! After Dark Samus. They found Dark Samus near the entrance of a cave. Dark Samus was like, ugh, that was weird. The mountain was like, yes, but this may be serendipitous. I sensed something deep within the cave. Alas, I am too big to go in, and Umbreon cannot leave my side because we're connected. Or something. But you two, you can enter the cave, go forth, and find what I'm sensing. They're like, okay! you are over there for now. These two, I hope they're staying adequately in frame. The Chocobo and Dark Samus venture into the depths of the cave. The clay card. What can I do with the clay card? I wish I had some Play-Doh. They ventured into the cave. Suddenly, the Chocobo's feet got stuck. It was like, bleh, bleh, bleh. Samus was like, what? Samus was not affected because she hovers, but the Chocobo was stuck. Samus investigated, and the Chocobo had stepped into quicksand. And it was like, bleh. But it wasn't just ordinary quicksand. It was clay tendrils. It started wrapping the Chocobo up. Chocobo tried to free itself. It blasted the clay with fire that did no good. Samus started shooting. The Chocobo was becoming overwhelmed. And then Samus was like, hold on, I will find a solution to this. And then ran away. Perhaps there was something further in that could help. The Chocobo was getting wrapped up in all the clay. Samus hurried down the hall, hoping to find something. She came to an altar upon which an owl was perched. An owl was perched. An owl was perched on the altar with a book. Samus was curious. Could this book be what the mountain sensed? Or could it have some relation to the items they needed to acquire? Samus approached cautiously. Suddenly, the owl's eyes glowed red. I don't know why this represents glowing red. The door closed behind Samus. Samus was like, what? And then she heard a rumbling as the guardian of the book began to emerge from underneath the altar. The witch! This lady from Tales of the Abyss. I think her name was Tyr. I don't remember for sure. So, she is more a wizard than a witch, but whatever. She stepped forth from underneath the altar. Dark Samus pointed her gun. The witch stand up. The witch could not stand. She fell. Ah! My legs! I have been sitting under that altar for 10,000 years. I had forgotten how to stand up for very long. And then Samus was like, who are you? What is this place? And the witch, continuing to try to stand up, was like, she just kept trying to get up and falling over while talking, you see. And she was like, this is one of the, she explained how she was sealed here a long time ago to protect the secrets of this book. For it contains the coordinates of the ancient treasures that would one day save the world from a great threat. Dark Samus was finding it very hard to take this woman seriously as this kept happening. And then Samus finally was like, fuck it, I'll help you stand up so we can focus on what's going on. So Dark Samus helped her stand up by holding her by the shoulders against the altar. Explain to me this stuff. Tyr explained how this book contains the locations of the 3 treasures that can save the world, but she has been waiting for a pure-hearted person to come, but you are not it. You are not deserving of the book. Dark Samus explained that this was the quest that she was on, that her friend was the pure-hearted one that the legend foretold, but he is currently dying, being attacked by the tendrils of clay. Tyr was like, oh no, we must hurry to his aid. Taking Dark Samus by the shoulder, they headed back to the Chocobo. Chocobo, by this point, was completely consumed by the clay. Was it too late? Was all hope lost? No! Tyr refused, continuing to get help from Dark Samus. Like this. It looked like this. Continuing to get help from Dark Samus. Wait, this side. Don't get in Tyr's face. Stand in front of Jade's face. He doesn't matter. He's not here. Tyr cast a mighty blizzard spell, drying the clay. And then with the clay dried, Dark Samus leapt up, dropping Tyr to the floor, charged up a super missile, like Pachoo, destroying the clay tendrils. Chocobo gasped for air. Work, que. It was so discombobulated that for a moment it didn't know whether to say work or que. Tyr approached, crawling on the ground. She put her hand up to the Chocobo's chest to feel his heart. It felt pure. It felt holy. Tyr was like, yes, I may entrust you with the book. Come this way. Chocobo took Tyr onto his back and they rode off. Dark Samus waited, assuming that her involvement would disrupt whatever went on in the next room because of her evil radiating. Tyr left behind. About 5 minutes later, Chocobo returned with the owl statue on its back and the book. The book does not come off the statue, so Chocobo just had to take the whole thing, and then they rode off together out of the cave. They returned outside to the mountain, who awaited. Umbreon, read the book, the mountain ordered. Umbreon got inside and read. It discovered that the 3 artifacts were located in destinations represented by 3 elements. The element of the dog, the element of the river, and the element of the fucking elephant. Apparently dog and elephant are elements now. What the hell do I have that can represent an elephant? Okay. We must go to the shrine of the dog, the shrine of the river, and the shrine of the elephant. But we are short on time. We must split up, the mountain insisted, and head to these destinations, and then meet back up somewhere when we are done. They decided that once their mission was completed, they would meet back where they first met the mountain. And so, each taking a page from the book. They tore the pages out that they needed. Chocobo took the whole thing with him, just in case they needed more of the book later. And they rode off, each to a different one of the places. Okay. I need to figure out what these will be. Hang on. The heroes set forth. First, the mountain. The mountain headed to the realm of the dog. It made sense, he figured. Umbreon being somewhat of a canine or feline. I've always thought they're more I've always thought the evolutions are more canine, but I've seen some people think that they're more feline, so whatever. He figured they would have a diplomatic advantage or something going to the shrine of the dog. So they set forth. They eventually came upon a great shrine shaped like a dog. They entered, and at the end they found a magnificent wolf statue. They thought this was strange. That is a wolf, not a dog. Was this the wrong place? They weren't quite sure, but they decided to take the statue, figuring this must be the treasure they came to get. They kinda awkwardly did that. Yeah, they carried it like that. They carried it slowly out of the shrine. Suddenly, they heard a raspy voice. "What the hell are you bastards doing?" Suddenly, the guardian of the dog shrine struck down with his giant sword. Whoocha! Umbreon dropped the statue and swiftly dodged. The massive sword of the guardian slammed into the ground. He flipped off of it. He took his sword into both hands, even though he physically couldn't. And he can't hold that with the other hand. So he just stood his ground. He's like, "How dare you enter my shrine and steal my treasure!" His sword began to glow. He shouted, "Wind Scar!" Shot a massive energy beam. Umbreon hid behind the mountain. Chunks of rock got blown off, but the mountain stood. And then Umbreon swung from behind, firing a shadow ball. A ball of dark energy. Inuyasha slashed the ball. He was like, "It's gonna take a lot more than that to defeat me." And then, pissed off, he attacked. The two engaged in battle. Umbreon was swift and used the mountain to block, but Inuyasha was tenacious and he refused to give up. They battled on and on, neither giving an inch. Eventually, Umbreon started to get worn down. Inuyasha had a very clear advantage. He was much stronger than this little critter guy and had a big sword and another sword that was the same sword in his sheath but smaller. We're not going to go into explaining that at all. Inuyasha insisted that they leave or he unleashes full power. That is when the mountain had an idea. "Bring it on!" it announced through Umbreon. "Umbreon, attack! Use all of your might!" Umbreon charged up the biggest dark pulse it could, firing the massive black energy beam. Inuyasha was like, "Don't say I didn't warn you, you son of a bitch." And then he held up his sword and he screamed, "Backlash wave!" redirecting the energy of the dark pulse back onto Umbreon. Umbreon did a flip just as it was about to hit. The blast hit the wall, kicking up a massive explosion. Inuyasha shielded his eyes from the blast with his robe. He was like, "Ah!" And then, under the cover, Umbreon used quick attack, grabbed the statue, and then ran away. And then, as the smoke cleared, Inuyasha was ready to keep fighting, but they were gone. And he was like, "Fuck!" Then that was that. He considered chasing them down. He would be able to catch up to them eventually, and with his strong sense of smell, he could easily track them. But, alas, he was cursed in this world to stay at the shrine, even if the treasure was stolen. He had to protect the shrine. He had a sacred duty. And Inuyasha in this story is very uncharacteristically honor-bound. So he returned to protect the shrine, thinking that that was very strange. Because it was. There's nothing normal about Inuyasha attacking an Umbreon for a wolf statue. Meanwhile, Dark Samus set off to her shrine. She headed to the shrine of the river because she could hover over the river. It was just these super strong rapids, but she just flew over them as the rapids were like, boosh, boosh, but she was just like, ha-ha! So the rapids did nothing to slow her down as she came upon the mouth of the shrine. She flew into it and entered into its depths. There were some bullshit puzzles involving moving blocks and changing the elevation of the water. But after some annoying navigation, she managed to make her way through. And at the end, she found 2 magical orbs radiating energy. There was this orb and this orb. Upon their altar, there was a warning to only choose one. The correct orb will grant you ultimate power or something. The wrong orb will destroy your very soul. Dark Samus looked back and forth, wondering which to pick. Should she go with the obvious choice of a dolphin relic in a river shrine? Or was that too easy? Was that a misdirection? Was it actually the fox orb that she needed to grab? She thought for a moment. At first she was thinking one of the shrines is the Shrine of Dog. Perhaps the fox is more like a dog and therefore it is the correct choice. But then she thought, wait, but there's also the Shrine of the
Elephant.
An elephant is not like dog, so maybe each treasure needs to be distinct and differentiated from the others. That made more sense. So she grabbed the dolphin orb. And then the fox orb sunk into the ground. Had she chosen correctly? Her soul was not sucked out, as the warning sort of suggested. Perhaps she had done it. She began to depart. Suddenly the ground behind her began to rumble. She twirled around, tossing the orb out of the way for the moment. She held up her gun and was like, what is happening? She heard gears grinding as something was coming up from where the fox orb had sunken into the ground. Suddenly, whoosh! A giant dolphin creature attacked. Dark Samus dodged. The dolphin hit its head on the ground, knocking itself unconscious. Dark Samus held her gun to its head, but then she decided, no, I am a hero in this story. But then again, she thought about what the mountain said, about how her darkness may be needed to succeed in their quest, that they may need evil to guide good to do what it might otherwise not. So Dark Samus was like, screw that noise, and blew the dolphin's brains out with a super missile straight into the blowhole. And then, with the relic, she departed, thinking how dumb that was, that this great guardian knocked itself out in the dumbest way. Her final thoughts as she left the shrine, thinking that whoever built this defense system did not really think it through very well. They probably relied too much on people grabbing the wrong orb, not having all the information at once. Lastly, the Chocobo came to the elephant shrine and tossed the book aside for the moment and entered and ventured through. There were lots of obstacles to overcome, like jumping and kicking bad guys that there might have been, and venturing deep into the depths of the elephant shrine. There are lots of puzzles involving moving heavy objects and other things. There was one room with a massive scale where Chocobo had to take stone rocks and balance them in a way that would open the door forward, by solving some complex algorithm or arithmetic or something that I don't feel like coming up with and elaborating, until finally it came to the altar at the end of the shrine where it saw an elephant statue. This must be the treasure, it thought. It grabbed the statue, ripping it from the ground. It was very heavy. Suddenly, the Chocobo heard a thunk. It looked around, and glistening from the darkness, two massive elephant tusks came down from both sides to chop off the Chocobo's head. At the last second, the Chocobo ducked, and the blazers went whoosh and missed. But they circled back around. This was a very elaborate trap. It was like whoosh. Chocobo dodged just as the blades came down, and then Chocobo attacked, shooting the blades with a fireball, just blowing them up. And then Chocobo took the statue and ran, doing what Chocobos do best, and run. As he came out, he grabbed the statue and carried them both. If a single Chocobo can carry 4 humans on its back, as always seems to be the case in the games, then surely it could handle this. It just ran back to the meeting spot. Eventually, they came back to the meeting spot with all the treasures brought together. the mountain checked the book some more and found a passage speaking of how to defeat the coming evil. Dark Samus needs to be in this shot. How to defeat the evil. They must use an incantation to merge these items together. The mountain read the incantation. Ooba-ba-ba, 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 ooba-ba-ba. And as he sung that, the items began to glow and merge together. The mystical patterns of the wolf, the size and girth of the elephant, and the body of the dolphin, all three merged together into the ultimate weapon that would save the world. But you... They tossed the book aside. They didn't need it anymore, for they had their weapon. The ultimate power that would thwart evil. Okay, we have done it, my friends, they said. So they took the dolphin together like this. Come back. Like this. Dark Samus wasn't really helping much because she was too short. But they set forth with the treasure to the final battle. The final battle that was found at the kiss. At the kiss. The kiss. They ventured forth to a destination mentioned in the book that they threw away. There, they would find the shrine where the evil awaited. They came upon a stone tablet that looked like this, standing before them. Standing before them. This was a perplexing thing, they thought. What could this be? The mountain recognized a face on this tablet. And suddenly it attacked. Ah! Revenge! Dark Samus and Umbreon Mountains jumped to the side to dodge. Inuyasha would have hit them if he hadn't announced himself. The three heroes stood together. What is that? The three heroes stood together before the great demon Inuyasha. I have come to avenge the statue that you stole. Windscar! Firing the massive blast. Chocobo and Dark Samus dodged to the side. Umbreon again hides behind the mountain. Dark Samus fired missiles. Inuyasha deflected the missiles with his sword. Ha ha! And then he charged. Whoosh! He swung. Dark Samus blocked the sword with her arm, the blade digging into her weird metal flesh stuff. She was able to hold it, but not for long. Chocobo came around, shooting a fireball, hitting Inuyasha's back, but his robe of the fire rat protected him. He swirled around and fired another wind scar at the Chocobo. The Chocobo dodged. What do? We have to defeat this guy. They noted that this man's face was on the plaque, and they were trying to think, what could that mean? Does this man have some relation to how they have to get through? There's also this woman that none of them knew. That is when the wisdom of the mountain had an idea. For you see, there was a subtle hint in the book. He did not really know what it was supposed to mean until now. They were like, follow my lead. They charged. Inuyasha attacked. Fya! Deflected. And then Umbreon got to the statue. And then Inuyasha was like, that's it. The Umbreon taunted Inuyasha to strike. Inuyasha was like, very well. This time I will destroy you with my own hands. He threw down his sword. He threw down his sword. He threw down his sword. I know you're supposed to be able to let go of this thing, but you've been holding it for probably over 10 years. So I think it's jammed or something. So with his sword, he was like, Iron Reaver Soul Stealer! The mountain blocked and flipped him. He made Inuyasha's lips connect with that of the woman on the statue. The love between him and Kagome radiated through the tablet, and then it vanished, revealing a passageway forward. And as it vanished, Inuyasha fell face first into the mud, and then the heroes were like, quick! Hurry through! They charged, they jumped on Chocobo's back, and Chocobo ran as fast as he could. Whoosh! Casting haste on himself, even though the black magic version of haste does not improve speed. It improves attacking power, but here it improves speed, so like, whoosh! Sprinting through as fast as they could go, and Inuyasha was just like, damn it! I'll get you next time! And then sulking, he marched off again. They entered the shrine. This was it. This is where the evil was. Suddenly they're like, oh no, we left the dolphin behind. Completely forgot about the dolphin. In their haste to outsmart and defeat Inuyasha, they left behind the dolphin. Chocobo, hurry, go retrieve the dolphin before suddenly a black plume shot up into the sky, the desert. Desert? What the hell am I supposed to do with the desert card? Plumes of darkness burst forth, and from the darkness came the Garuda King, Ganondorf. He landed before them. He was like, ha ha ha, I am bad guy, and I have come to conquer this realm. Once I have done that, I will amass an army using this realm's mystical powers and objects and use that to conquer Hyrule at long last. And the mountain was like, quick, Chocobo, go get our secret weapon. Chocobo ran away. Ganondorf was like, what? Secret weapon? I don't know what kind of personality Ganondorf has, because I don't really play Zelda games. But I will stop you. He attacked. Kacha, the battle raged. Dark Samus fired upon him. He was just like, ah! Darkness cannot hurt me. And then he summoned forth the Triforce of Power to just toss Dark Samus aside. You worm, you cannot defeat me. Umbreon attacked with Shadow Ball. It hit Ganondorf, also doing nothing. I already told you, darkness cannot hurt me. Kapsha! Both Umbreon and Dark Samus were down. Ganondorf was like, ha ha ha, you fools, you really thought powers of darkness could defeat the darkness? You will pay for your foolishness. Suddenly, Chocobo came back and threw Dolphin. Ganondorf was like, what the fuck? Ah! And the Dolphin crushed Ganondorf, enveloping him in light. He was like, no, not the light. The light coursed into him, and it was so overwhelming, and the dolphin was so heavy on top of him that he was just like, and both the dolphin and Ganondorf exploded. The heroes stood up. Their battle over. The mountain sensed throughout the earth. It sent out waves of magic to feel out the energies. I no longer sense impending doom. Whatever that man had plotted, he was the darkness that I sensed coming to this land. We have done it. We have saved the realm. Chocobo was super happy. Dark Samus really didn't give a shit. She just did this because the plot needed her to do it. And then they all went home. The end. And that was our story. Let me know what you thought of that complete and utter nonsense, and I'll see you next time for more complete and utter nonsense. If you have any ideas of how we might be able to mix up the formula of using these cards to tell a story, then let me know. I'd love to get more ideas. I try to come up with ways to mix it up. The first couple episodes were very systematic and to the board game's rules, but I want to try and come up with ways to make it so it's not just that same formula every single time. So let me know if you have any ideas, and if it's something that I could try out, then maybe I'll do so. If the opportunity presents itself and I can come up with a way to implement your idea. With that, I'll see you next time. And now I have to put all this shit away.